Should I upgrade X? Should I upgrade Y? It's a generalized question everybody wants to ask.
What are you doing? Get out of here.
Sorry about that, folks. I don't know. I guess he got a little too confident there. Should I upgrade X? Should I upgrade Y? It's a generalized question everyone wants to ask, but no one wants to answer. And it's because there are often a few problems with how the question is set up. So let's run through different scenarios and decide if you really should upgrade that X or Y. Stay with me.
By this point, you've probably seen our original ad for Thermal Grizzly's Carbonite pads. They're clean, peace of mind replacements for traditional thermal paste, and best of all, you'll never have to replace them. But did you also know that you can buy Carbonite pads in different sizes for various processors? 32x32mm for Intel desktop CPUs, 38x38 for Intel HEDT and Ryzen, 25x25 for the RTX 2080 GPU, and so on. They even make a giant 51x68mm pad for Threadripper. I highly recommend Carbonite pads, and you can learn more by clicking the link below.
So the goal here isn't to call anyone out or shame people asking these kinds of questions. I understand they're well-intentioned, but I need more context than what a lot of you give me. Consider Andy, arbitrary Andy. Andy pops into one of our Twitch streams, hey, thanks Andy, and decides to ask this question in the chat. Should I upgrade to an RTX 2080 Ti? That's it. I mean, that's the question. I get nothing else from the guy. I see it so much, which is why I wanted to make this video. It's just a generic should I upgrade question. And you see where I'm going with this. I need more context. I need more data. What are you currently sporting? What kind of games do you play? What resolution? What refresh rate? What in-game settings? There are many, many variables to consider, and it's one of the joys of PC building, right? You aren't locked to a single preset like you would be in the console world. I know I've played consoles pretty much my whole life growing up, right? But what isn't flexible is my patience for these kinds of questions. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go out and say it. Maybe a few years ago, I'd have gone out of my way to dig deeper into Andy's question, but I don't have the time in a stream or even in a YouTube comment to ask these questions. I shouldn't have to ask you a question after you ask me one, right? So how do I ask the question correctly then, you might ask? Well, here's what I recommend. Number 1, start with your resolution and refresh rate. Say something like, I game on a 1440p 144Hz monitor. Boom, I know exactly what we're dealing with. And if we assume you aren't hunting for a new monitor, then I'll know where your sweet spot is. You don't want a card that's too weak to push the frame rate you're looking for at, a dense resolution, but you don't want to overkill it. In the former's case, you're wasting money on the monitor, and in the latter's case, you're wasting money on the graphics card. So it's a balance, and we've worked with and tested enough hardware to point you in the right direction. I don't blame you for asking me the question. I'm not attacking your intent, but the question as it is posed most often is just not viable. Number 2, mention what you currently have in your system. CPU, GPU, and RAM. That'll often do it, right? I'll get the gist of your PC's capabilities and can usually decide right then and there if an upgrade is even necessary. Upgrade in quotes. And 3, I almost did 2. 3, mention what you're wanting to upgrade to. Maybe you're frustrated with your current graphics card or CPU. Maybe one of them runs too hot, or maybe one of them's dead. Either way, try to briefly spell out the thought process behind the upgrade. And if one of your 2 major components is dead, then it's not really an upgrade, it's more like a replacement. But hey, you can still upgrade from what you were currently on. Maybe your 2600 died and you're deciding between another 2600 and a 3600. Perfectly viable question, but let me know. And that's really it. I don't mean for this to be a super short video, but if your justification falls short in your question, right, then I'll let you know straight up. There's no time wasted. If you're, again, currently on like a 2600 and maybe you're asking if you should just upgrade to a 3600 even though your 2600 still works, I'll probably tell you no. There's really no point. I mean, sure, a few small bumps in FPS here and there, slightly higher clocks all around. 3600 is an objectively better chip, but still not enough in most cases to justify the CPU swap itself, because then you'll need to sell the old CPU in order to recoup some of the initial investment, and you only really want to deal with that if you are talking about a significant upgrade, right? Remember, your time is valuable. Now, I know those 3 steps can seem a bit dense on the surface, and your question may inevitably be a paragraph long. What can you do? I'd rather have it all in one big chunk, preferably in one single chat message, right? Not like 5 or 6. Don't spam the chat with your question, right? But yeah, you can send it on Twitch, you can send it on YouTube, you can send it on Twitter. all the better, right? And hopefully from that point, we can work toward a proper upgrade path should you actually see the utility in one. A lot of people ask, should I upgrade? But they're only asking the question because maybe they have a hole in their pocket. Like they're just, their wallet is too heavy for them and they feel the need to spend money. That's the worst reason to upgrade. And actually, I found a lot of times that people are perfectly content with what they already have. They just, again, see the need to spend more money. If you're already content with what you have, don't waste more money now. It'd be better to wait for a generation or two in order to actually reap heavy benefits down the line versus maybe a side grade or a small upgrade, 2600 to 3600. That ain't it, folks. By the way, I can't always guarantee I'll personally respond, but maybe you'll find someone else in a similar situation who was responded to by me. And look, there are plenty of level-headed, well-informed individuals in forums who do exactly the same thing I do, right? There's nothing special about me in this position other than the fact that we have a YouTube channel. So ask in multiple places if necessary and get a second opinion. That's always good. Then consider buying. And this all assumes, of course, that you aren't an informed buyer. If you already know what you're doing and you do the research yourself, you really shouldn't need to ask us unless you just want our attention, which, come on, bro. That's all for this one. I hope this has cleared up some things for those who often find themselves asking these questions. Again, I get a ton of these and I just need more context in order to answer properly. So help us out by including data from the 3 aforementioned points: resolution and refresh rate, current specs, and intended upgrade. Boom, gold. Thanks for watching. Consider liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. My name's Greg. Thanks for learning with me.